What is the difference of hoof hardener and hoof oil? Depending on what climate you live in and what season it is, dry, humid, spring, summer, fall, winter, etc. That's all of them. When should I use hoof hardener and or hoof oil? Is it possible to use too much hoof hardener and or hoof oil? That's question one. Oh, it's second question. Where is the most beneficial place to apply hoof hardener and or hoof oil, like the wall or the sole or the frog area? Okay, so it's when should I use which? Is it possible to use too much of either? Where's the best place to put them?
Well, I have no idea. So I asked, when it's a hoof question, you just have to know that I'm going to go to Danvers Child, who is the SmartPak hoof health consultant. And I just learned prefers the term certified journeyman farrier.
Why wouldn't you?
Even he's like, I don't know what a hoof health consultant is. So here's what he said. Hopefully he answered all those questions.
Okay.
Hoof dressings, which are oils, sealants, and hardeners. Those are 3 types of hoof dressings, are generally applied with the intent of influencing moisture levels in the hoof. It's all of them. Their application will vary depending upon the manufacturer's guidelines. Most are applied to the wall, some are applied to the sole, and a few to the frog.
So just before we get further, I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. If your horse is standing, this is the wall, this is the sole, and then the frog is the little triangle. Well, we have lots of pictures on our website, in case that wasn't helpful.
There might be pictures. So let's go with the first one. Hoof oils are quite common and have been used seemingly forever. Nevertheless, they're not always the greatest choice. They tend to attract and trap dirt, moisture, fecal matter, and other ick.
Ooh, it's a very technical term.
To the hoof and can potentially encourage bacterial growth. Likewise, while they appear to be moisturizing the hoof, they generally don't penetrate and absorb well. And so for a hoof oil, we have the FL brand, which comes with its own little applicator. The next one is hoof sealants. They're also quite common. They serve well to temporarily replace the hoof's natural varnish when it has been abraded by the environment or through maintenance. However, they are a sealant and a barrier, which potentially inhibit the natural internal-external exchange for moisture regulation. So for sealants, I brought out the Tough Stuff and this Kevlar Tough Hoof Guard Sealant. Those are 2 that we carry.
All right.
I've used this one before, the Tough Stuff. All right, and the number 3 is hoof hardeners are the newest on the scene, and they're quite different from oils and sealants.
Hoof hardeners so hot right now.
Despite the idea of them serving to harden the hoof, as their name implies, they actually serve to regulate moisture levels within the hoof through a process of cross-linking the keratin molecules within the hoof and supplying additional atoms and volume to strengthen the existing structures. That's really cool. The process requires regular and diligent application. However, it's important that no other topicals be used that will disrupt or interfere with the cross-linking. So, and I've used this too, and I love it, the Keratex Hoof Hardener.
Okay.
And like he says, follow the directions.
So I think a lot of what people don't think about when they think of their horse's hooves is I think people think your horse's hooves are like your fingernails and it's dead tissue. And it is, but it's also
you can still influence it.
You can influence it, and it is allowing moisture in and out, and it is allowing, I mean, to a certain extent, breathing.
I was going to say breathes. It still breathes.
Yeah, and so it's if you think about, in humans, if you get like acrylic nails or something put on, a lot of times people will have that, and then after a certain period of time, they're like, oh, I ruined my nails, I can't wear it anymore.
Right.
And you're like, well, how would you ruin your nails if it's dead tissue? So it is something that you want to be thoughtful about what you're putting on, and as always, work with your farrier, ideally a certified journeyman farrier, if you have access to one.
Yes.